So welcome, Christine, to the Zoom room again. A good chat there. Leads us nicely into our session. So we're going to have a look at today's quote. It's a bit of teaching, and that'll lead us into our lesson, which is quite a short one. And then we'll look at the text. Okay, so let me just get the live stream thing going, and I'll share my screen. And we'll get into it. All right. So share my screen. All right, so if you want to read the very simple quote for today.
Most folks are as happy as they make up their minds to be.
Yeah. Abraham Lincoln said that, which is, people go, well, it's a bit corny, and it's a bit kind of straightforward. But there's a lot of wisdom in that. He observed that it is really a decision. Happiness is a decision. It's not about the external world making you happy. And still, most people operate on a basis of, well, I'm needing something externally to make me happy. Something needs to change to make me happy. Whereas this, simple teaching is actually a revolution in one's life. Okay, it's up to me. If I make up my mind, if I decide to be happy, then I've got every chance, much better chance of being happy. So it's returning what we call the locus of control to an individual, to that person, saying it's up to you. If you want to be happy, it's up to you to change your mind. It's not about changing and manipulating others in the world to be happy. So make up your mind to be happy no matter what seems to be happening in your life. It's that simple. Okay, I commit to being happy from this day forward, no matter what seems to be happening in my life or the world. That's a pretty revolutionary statement for most people. That's a revolution in their lives, because they haven't made that commitment. Their happiness is determined by many factors external to them, and so consistent happiness is elusive, based on what they expect. When I get what I want, when my expectations are met, then I'm reasonably happy. But most of the time, certainly a lot of the time in this world, that doesn't happen, does it? Your expectations aren't met. Things go wrong. Your expectation is violated. Then you feel unhappy. Until you make up your mind to be happy no matter what, then you continue to be on that roller coaster ride that the ego has invented for us. Question?
Yes, I definitely decided that this morning.
Yeah.
I woke up not happy, and I thought, no, I will be happy today.
Yeah.
And I will choose to do this, this, and this. The things that bring me joy. And I just really considered what brings me joy. And those are the things that I will do today. So it was like self-indulgent. When have I last read a book? Why not immerse myself for hours in this book? And it was quite a happy, enhancing feeling of connecting with who I truly am, rather
Mm.
than running around chasing my tail,
Yeah.
solving problems.
So that was, a miracle. So you woke up not in a good space, but then you corrected it.
Yeah.
You went, okay, I can change my mind. I can make up my mind today that I'm going to be happy. I can change it, and you did, and that's a miraculous day, and we can always do that.
Actually, it did turn into a miraculous day, because within half an hour, this beau of my life phones me and says, I heard you saying that you wake up scared in the morning, so I thought I'd phone you and see how you are.
Hmm.
And I thought, how sweet for somebody who only gets up at 11. He was phoning me at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
And I just extended huge gratitude, which of course put a smile on my face. And I thought, wow, someone out there is thinking of me. So I suppose I immediately externalized it.
Hmm.
And then I met my daughter for lunch at the earthworks. And in front of my daughter, the owner of the place says to me, that man that you brought in here yesterday, is he the beau of your life? And I thought, where did she get that from?
Okay.
So something must be radiating out of me that is called happiness.
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So you changed your mind, you changed your state, your life experience has changed in the day, and that's a miracle. That shift or correction is what the miracle is.
Yes, and I
And
can
it's a
honestly
miraculous day.
validate,
Oh.
and I can honestly validate that I am happy today. My cat's sitting at the end of my bed, and I've had very few people in my life today. I've done what I wanted to do, and it's been really great.
Oh. And what you're saying is I'm worth it. I don't have to run around doing what everyone else wants me to do. I can spend the time in doing what I enjoy, reading a book, really immersing yourself into a book that's spiritual, that's nurturing, that's growing. And you just decided. And as your daughter said, I mean, that's actually a great time of life. You're fortunate. You don't have a whole load of commitments that you have to do. You can actually, spend a day like this. So, there's huge gratitude, I think, for the stage of life you're at and the opportunity you have to really use the next years of your life to get this, to deepen into your understanding of truth, to start living the truth. Oh, there's Elaine. So is this determination to change your perception the foundation of all personal transformation? Simple, very simple format. Do you decide? When you decide you want to change, you want to be happy, then it'll start happening. And until that happens, nothing's going to change.
Yes,
It's only through your willingness to change your mind that anything will ever change in your life, as Yeshua clearly points out in this introduction to section 21 of the text, which is a profound paragraph. It's one of the most profound paragraphs in the whole course, in my view. Let's ask Elaine. Hi, Elaine, will you read that for us?
Yes, hi. Projection makes perception. The world you see is what you gave it, nothing more than that. But though it is no more than that, it is not less. Therefore, to you it is important. It is the witness to your state of mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. As man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world.
Yeah. So, what's he saying in that?
Well, he's saying that if you're walking around in a bad mood, it's only because of you, your own mind. nothing to do with the
Mm.
outside world.
Mm.
Despite, like now we're in a poor area, and Dave's keeps saying, "Oh, this is rough. What on earth did you choose this for a holiday for?"
Mm.
And I said, "We just make the most of it."
Mm.
So I guess, not that sounds like I'm showing off there, but I guess
Mm.
that's how it works.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, he's going to the very core of how the illusion works. Projection makes perception. So we have an inner belief in separation. We have a thought system that goes along with that, a self-concept. We project that out onto the world. And so we manifest various things, people, places, circumstances unconsciously. It's not a conscious process. It's happening unconsciously, but we are then projecting it out, and then we make our perceptions. So projection makes perception. It's a self-perpetuating feedback loop. If we have a look at this diagram, now into the 12 pathways, the map of consciousness, Holy Trinity, levels of mind, instrument of peace. That's what I want. So we project out from a belief in separation, which is at the core of our ego. It gets projected out unconsciously into the quantum soup we call the world. It's just a projection of thought. And then that comes back to us. There's this return mechanism, boomerang effect. It comes back to us. And now we get these sensory inputs from the external world, people, things, places, events, that seem to be real to us, but they're really just our own projection. And then we perceive them as real, and we perceive them from the same point of view, the same thought system as they were created from. So we project it out. That's all happening unconsciously. Our perception is more conscious because we actually have those thoughts going through our mind, those thoughts and feelings. But it's a setup. We're perceiving it according to the belief that projected it, which is why it says projection makes perception. And so it becomes a closed loop system. I project it out, I see what I want to see, and then I perceive it according to the belief that projected it out. And so it's then, yes, obviously I believe it's real. And that reinforces the emotions and the thoughts and the beliefs on which my perception is layered. So I'm reinforcing every time I perceive, I'm reinforcing the entire ego's thought system, including the desire to be a separate self. If you perceive according to the ego. What Yeshua is saying is, well, this is where the rubber meets the road. Your perception is where the change can happen. It's like the edge effect. This is where change happens. So as you interact with the outside world, you can choose to change your perception of what's happening. So your ego's projected out something. Unconsciously, it's giving you something which might be difficult, challenging, seemingly unpleasant. Instead of perceiving it in the same way from that same belief, you can change that perception. And you can choose now to change your mind, and that change must come from deep within you. See, the only way of doing it is to track it through. You've got to drill down into the emotion. Okay, so what am I feeling underneath my perception? Well, I'm feeling uncomfortable, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling resentful, irritated, whatever it is. And I'm willing to sit with that and acknowledge it. And then go a bit deeper and say, well, what's the thought behind it? Okay, well, I'm actually expecting, let's take, Dave and your holiday. I'm expecting this to be a better place. I expected us to have a nicer place to go in a nicer part of the country with some countryside or beach or whatever.
Traffic.
So my expectation has been violated. Okay, so I can see the thought behind it that's causing the emotion of dissatisfaction, which is causing a perception like, well, this isn't a very good place. And then, of course, there's a blame. He's blaming you, saying, well, why did you do that? So it's tracking it all down and then getting to the core belief. You go, okay, what all of this is just symptomatic of my belief in what? Okay, well, actually, I'm believing that I'm a separate self. I'm believing that I'm a victim, that this is happening to me, that I have no power to change this. And the outside world doesn't match my expectation. And now I'm upset. So I'm really saying I'm a separate self. And, the only way of me being happy is for the outside world to meet my expectations. Is that an intelligent belief? No, because most of the time in my life experience, my expectations are not going to be met. So this isn't an intelligent belief to have. I'm going to be an unhappy person. And then you get to the core level of choice. Say, well, okay, I can choose to let it go. I don't have to perceive this, feel this, think this, believe this anymore. I can choose to be surrendered. I can choose to be oneself. I can choose, instead of seeing myself as separate from the situation, separate from my wife, I can choose to see this differently, and I can be accepting. Okay, it's okay. I don't have to bother about this. I can be okay with the situation as it is, and choose to be happy right now, just as I am. And that is now a choice for your true self. You're choosing that you choose now to be a different self. You choose to be oneself. And then the belief that comes from that is, well, I can't be a victim of the world anymore. I'm actually in control of my perceptions. I can choose my beliefs. I can choose my thoughts. I can choose my emotions. I can choose what I choose to perceive in the situation. So it's very empowering. I now have a choice. I'm no longer the victim of the world. And so that's really a deconstruction of what the miracle is and what it does. It takes you from perception of the external world being real and happening to you, to know, actually, my perception is under my control, and I can choose to change it, and I do choose to change it because I want to be happy. If I'm not in a happy state of mind, I'm not perceiving happy things, then I can choose to change. And that's the process of the miracle, which then corrects at the fundamental level your thought system. You're now having to believe in another self. This is the highest self, or the true self, or the Christ, that you have to go and access and choose that in order to change the beliefs, thoughts, emotions, and your perceptions. And so that's the level of the miracle, a fundamental change of mind about who you think you are. And that's the only change that's really going to work. Any other change on a superficial level, oh, well, I'll try and change my behavior, or I'll distract myself with something else on the level of perception. Or if I get stuck in the emotional level, that's not going to work. If I get stuck in those negative emotions, or I just say, right, well, I'm going to get, I want to be positive, and I listen to some music, and okay, maybe temporarily there's a shift, but you haven't really gone to the core problem, which is your belief about yourself. And yes, you're saying that's the only level of change that's going to work, which gets to the root. That's why it's called, this approach is called radical, because it goes to the very root of the problem, which is in your mind, the belief in your mind, and it undoes the problem there at the root. And people say, well, that's too radical, but that's the only thing that's going to work. And if you've got a weed, we've all weeded gardens, haven't we? Well, if you chop the weed off at the top, so on the level of perception, it's not going to work, because the root's still there. It's just going to regrow. We know you have to uproot the weed. You have to take it out, remove it entirely, so that it can't regrow. And that's the approach. You're uprooting the weed of the ego, which is this false thought system based on the idea that you're a separate self. So there's a little, in that diagram, and explaining this very profound quote, which really speaking to how this whole illusion works. So the illusion, the world's the witness to your state of mind, the outside picture of an inward condition. So it shows you whatever you're thinking within. As a man thinketh, so does he perceive. Therefore, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. So he's saying to us very clearly, you can't change the world. The external world on its own is not changeable, no matter how much you try and make it meet your expectations. You use the law of attraction and whatever. It's never going to meet your expectations entirely. So change your mind about the world, and then the world will change. Because the mind, if projection makes perception, your fundamental belief is what's being projected out subconsciously and is then creating your world through this mechanism, projection, perception. So you change your mind, you change the whole game. And this is when miracles start to happen. You start to see things shifting and changing. You go, oh, wow, I can see that if I really do change my mind, that things do change. And then, on the level of form, things start changing and shifting and working much better. But it wasn't that you were consciously trying to manipulate them and change them. You really just changed yourself. You changed your own mind, and then you let the changes unfold. So that's surrendered manifestation. That's allowing it to happen instead of by me. It's happening through me. It's a different. I'm not trying to change and manipulate reality to suit me anymore. It's happening through me. So I change my mind. That changes reality. It happens through me, and I just enjoy the ride. I enjoy the experience. Whatever then shows up is obviously what's meant to show up, without expectation or desire. Then I can't be disappointed. I can't be unhappy, because everything is just happening, and I'm okay with it. That doesn't mean I'm passive and I'm not doing anything constructive. No, because I'm changing my mind. The only thing I have to do is to change my mind at the fundamental level. That's always my task. That's what the art of letting go is all about. Change your mind at the fundamental level, and then change will happen in your life. Automatically. You don't have to try and create that change. It will just happen, because that's how the world works. It's a projection perception mechanism. So you automatically project out what is in your deepest mind. So you change it at that level. It projects out something else. You get different things showing up, and you perceive differently. You will perceive everything differently as well. So yes, you're saying, well, start. You can't necessarily change that straight away. Start with perceiving whatever is currently in your life, which is maybe a projection of your old thought system, but you start perceiving it differently, which then creates the change, fundamental change in your mind, which allows things to change on this unconscious level, so that you start unconsciously creating a better reality. Different kinds of things come into you because you've got a different fundamental belief. Okay, so does that make sense? And any questions on that?
That was very clear, thank you.
So a nice little happy song for you again, which just reminds you, that it's a choice. I choose to be happy, and I can always make that choice, irrespective of what seems to be happening in my life, how the day starts. You can always change it. So that brings us to today's lesson. So let's dive into that. Lesson 102, which is again all about happiness. So Elaine, if you can read
Yeah.
the original, the alternative, and then the first paragraph for us, please.
I share God's will for happiness for me. I share perfect love's will for happiness for me.
Yeah. So I share. It's a acknowledgement that this will of this divine presence we call perfect love is my own will, and it wants me to be happy, but I have to agree to that. If I deny it and I say no, I don't want to be happy, then it can't help me. So it would seem to be a no-brainer. I mean, these things are so obvious, but yet many people don't share perfect love's will for happiness for themselves. They don't think they deserve to be happy. So then they're not very happy. And they don't think that they can change their mind to be happy. They think the world must change to make them happy. Completely delusional belief. How can you expect the world to change to make you happy? I mean, has that ever happened? Has that ever worked consistently?
Rare.
Oh, I mean, it just as you live your life, you go, well, that clearly doesn't work. Clearly, I can see that that's never going to work. But many people continue on with that program for their entire lives. They never consider that that's not a model that's ever going to bring them happiness. Spiritual awakening is just common sense. It's like, well, yeah, it's not going to work. Just observe, just sit and observe what happens in life, and you start to come to some realizations. Just observe. This is what the Buddha did. He just sat and he observed, and he was okay. So this is seemingly how life works. There's this unhappiness. There's this dissatisfaction. And I observe that most people are not very satisfied. Nothing much has changed in 2,500 years. In his society, most people he observed weren't very satisfied. He called it dukkha. And 2,500 years later, we have all this, the world is seemingly advanced and progressed and all this modern technology, and yet still, on average, most people are not very happy. So has anything really changed fundamentally? No, not really. The same principles apply. And so then he asked, well, why are they not happy? And he saw, just by observing, that it was their expectations that made them unhappy. People desire something, they crave, as he called it, something. Then in that moment of the craving, they're not happy because they're needing something else to make them happy. That's what they're telling their mind. So in the moment of doing that, they sabotage their happiness. They deny their happiness. And they put their happiness sometime in the future. They say, well, when I get this, then I'll be happy. So they're denying the happiness that is right now, which is God's or perfect love's will for them. Right now, available right now. There's no conditions to that happiness. It just is. It's available right now. You don't have to do anything to experience it. So there's no time that's required in order to experience it. The ego is always telling you, no, you need some time. To meet those desires, you need to do X, Y, and Z, which is going to take time. So now your happiness will come one day in the future. And that is a denial of the truth that the happiness is only available right now. You can never be happy other than now.
If you know what I mean.
Which is, again, common sense. Like, yeah, well, of course. How can I be happy?
The normal computer you can. No, go on.
I'll just mute you, Elaine. The future doesn't really exist. So this, it's a simple idea. I share perfect love's will for happiness for me, but very profound. Because it means I have to accept it right now, for me now, not sometime in the future. Right now, there's no condition to it. It just is. It's given to me. I just need to accept it. I need to make a decision. Yes, this is what I choose. And then it's there for me. So it completely undoes that craving desire program of the ego, saying I need to do X, Y, and Z in order to be happy. It just says right now, I choose to be happy and I share that will. Love's will for me is happiness, but I must choose to share it. Otherwise, it can't help me. Because I have free will, I can choose, and if I choose to deny it, then I'm choosing unhappiness, which is insane. Why would you choose to be unhappy? But probably the majority of people do. They make that choice to be unhappy on a daily basis without even realizing it. but they're choosing to be unhappy. Because they think I'm unhappy because of some external person or circumstance, but it's actually a choice that they've made. And awakening is just recognizing that, yes, I do have the choice. In every situation, I can choose to be happy by changing my mind, changing my perception, changing my emotions, my thoughts, my beliefs. But it goes very deep because it goes to the very core of who you are. So now I can't be a separate self anymore and be happy. I have to recognize that only my true self, which is not separate from anyone or anything, is happy. Okay, so shall we, then if you want to read the first paragraph, I think just read it in the, it's not much translation there, so read it in the alternative, in the first person.
Excuse me. I do not want to suffer, and I may think it buys me something, and may still believe a little that it buys me what I want. Yet this belief is surely shaken now, at least enough to let me question it and to suspect it really makes no sense. It has not gone as yet, but lacks the roots that once secured it tightly in the dark and hidden secret places of my awareness.
Yeah, okay, so what's he saying here in summary of paragraph 1?
Well, I mean, we don't want to suffer. We think it's going to buy us something. You know, now, after all our teachings and learnings, it surely is shaken now, and the tight secure on the roots is now loosening and ready to open up to the true awareness.
Mm. So it hasn't quite gone. You've still got, some residue of this old thought system, the victim consciousness.
Yeah.
But you, as I said, you're uprooting it. It lacks the roots that once secured it tightly in the dark and hidden secret places of my awareness.
Yeah.
So because we've started to open those dark and secret places up and really look. Okay, well, what do I believe? What is really going on there?
Yes.
And then you see the falsity and you let it go and it starts to dissipate. You shine the light of your awareness in those dark and hidden secret places, no longer dark and hidden secret places, are they? They become open and transparent to the light. And in that light, the truth, the truth is there. So the way, think of a physical analogy. If there's a dark and secret place in your house and you want to clear it out, well, what do? You open it up. You open the windows, if there are windows, doors, or you knock down walls and you open it up to the light, and then it's no longer dark and hidden and secret. The light comes in and it transforms the space. In the same way, our minds are then transformed by the light, which is the true awareness that we're now allowing in to come into these dark and hidden secret places. And that's just a belief. The dark and hidden secret places are where we hold these beliefs tightly to ourselves, and we cherish our individual identity. And we don't want to see that. We don't want to admit it. So this is saying, well, throw it open to the light of true awareness, and you will see that this is what you're doing. And then you can change your mind because you've exposed it. You've brought it up into the light of awareness. If it gets pushed down, if it gets repressed, it's the worst thing you can do because it just remains there. You shut it off, you close the lid, and you say, it's okay there. But of course, it's going to come up. It's a bit like, having some rotten food or something, or a dead rat. You think of it, and you go, well, it's fine. I'll just leave it in the cellar, in this dark and secret place, and I'll close it tightly, and you know, that's it. We're not going to smell it, but the smell starts permeating up into the upper floors. So that's what the subconscious mind does. It permeates up, and then your mind, your happiness, your peace of mind, your ability to be in flow, to act effectively, is all affected by this dark and secret place that you haven't opened up to the light. So you must look. Yeshua is very clear. You must look at the dark and secret places, bring them into awareness. It's not pleasant. A lot of people want to avoid that at all costs because they think it's going to be extremely painful. But once you actually do look, okay, well, it's not that scary. It's just a belief. What I have is a false belief in my own identity. I believe I'm a victim. I believe I'm a separate self. I believe I'm unworthy. Okay, well, that's not the end of the world. I can see that, and then I can change it. And consciously look at that belief and say, no, that's just not true. That's not correct. I can change my mind right now, real time, and have another belief. And that's what this whole process is about. That fundamental change of mind, change of belief, which is the foundation of the ego. Okay, so anything else on number 1?
No, that's clear.
Okay, I'll keep that running actually. So number 2, Christine. Read it in the alternative. There's only one thing to translate at the bottom there. Christine, are you there? Maybe not. Okay. So Elaine, if you want to read, today I try to release.
Today I try to release its weakened hold still further and to realize that pain is purposeless, without a cause and with no power to accomplish anything. It cannot purchase anything at all. It offers me nothing and does not exist. And everything I think it offers me is lacking in existence, like itself. I have been a slave to nothing. I am free today to join the happy will of perfect love.
Okay, so thoughts on that?
Well, we've been fooled, all this time. There's nothing there. False belief. We've been a slave to nothing. And today or now we can join the happy will of perfect love.
Yeah, very simple. Saying that suffering doesn't offer you anything. Pain is there's no point to pain. There's no cause, it has no reason, it has no power to accomplish anything. It cannot bring me anything at all. If it offers me nothing and it doesn't exist, how can I hold on to it? It's trying to free us from our suffering. Remind us that I am free today to join the happy will of perfect love.
So it's strange how we all hold back when we know deep down it's all about nothing. Yet we still.
Yeah. There's a part of our minds that remembers that. That's the remembrance of perfect love. That's the Holy Spirit. But the other part that's become dominant has convinced us that we're a separate self. We have a separate
Mhm.
identity. This is our, we are human. We live in this world. We've got to make the best of it. It obeys the laws of the world.
That one yours.
And that will believe that pain is some kind of purpose. That thought system says, well, what pain does, pain and suffering, perpetuate your separate identity. They reinforce the seeming fact that you are a separate individual who is now suffering. That's the purpose of pain and suffering and sickness. I'm suffering. He's saying, but it offers you nothing. That separate self that makes you suffer offers you nothing and doesn't exist. Everything it seems to offer you is non-existent. We'll change that to is non-existent like itself. I've been a slave to nothing. Extraordinary. So these thoughts, which are really nothing, seem to be so important and real and powerful. But that's the nature of thought. Thought is powerful. It has the power to create reality, even if that reality is false. So thought has the power to create a false reality, but this teaching is saying that false reality will always be false. And so I'm free. When I recognize that, I'm free to join this happy will of perfect love that says I don't need to experience pain anymore. It offers me nothing. I can let it all go, and I can just choose to be happy. Well, how simple is that? But you have to let go of the ego that's going to block this. You cannot accept both into your mind. In order to be free, to join the happy will of perfect love, you must look at your ego and let it go. Say, no, these thoughts of pain and suffering and sickness and scarcity and lack and loss and death that seem to offer me something, an identity, are really nothing. I don't want to experience that anymore. Okay. So happy with number 2?
Yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Several days.
For several days, I will alternative.
Christine is back, so let's ask her if she wants to.
Oh,
Christine,
yeah.
you want to read?
Okay, for several days, I will continue to devote my periods of practicing to exercises planned to help me reach the happiness perfect love's will has placed in me. Here is my home, and here is my safety. Here is my peace, and here there is no fear. Here is awakening. Here is rest at last.
Okay, so what's he saying there? Summary.
So not just today, but for a few days ahead, I will continue to devote these meditation every hour on the hour to help me reach happiness.
Yeah.
Which is my
That's
right.
why you do it. You're doing the practices because you want that state. You want that happy state. And if you do it, you're much more likely to stay in that state. And establish that state as your default state. See, this is what we're going for. That state,
Yes.
your underlying happiness, is the default.
We feel at home and safe. I
Yeah.
mean, to wake up this morning again with this fear, I'm scared. I
Yeah.
actually chose the happiness state all day, and I can honestly say I feel safe
Yeah.
and
Good.
I feel at home in my body.
Mm.
Here is my peace, and here there is no fear. Yeah, and there is a resting in it. It's just when people come into my life that I forget to do it.
Oh, that's so funny. Did you hear yourself say that? Just those, annoying people that the world's populated with that are like always there.
And they're unreal. They don't really exist. So I'll just stay in my bed with my blankets and my heater on, and I'm at home.
Yeah. Good. Well, well done. The thing is to be happy, no matter what. So people are in your life inevitably.
Yes, I
And
mean,
those are the
tomorrow,
challenges. I mean, other things, things like weather and load shedding can challenge you as well. But most of our challenges are people oriented, aren't they? It's like, oh, if this
yes.
person would only just do this, if they would only behave in this way and be reasonable and whatever, then I could be happy. This is the story that he goes spinning for us. And of course, you got no control over their behavior.
No, his behavior is, he was
Yeah, it is what
who
it is.
just interrupted me
Mm,
and took me out of the Zoom. But, he just brings a smile on my face because he can't be counted on. He's just so, I'll talk to you later, he said this morning. So I've been waiting all day like a pining teenager.
mm.
And then he said, his dogs got into the fireplace in the chimney. Obviously, a squirrel or a rat was in there. So they've made a mess of the lounge, and the white dog has now got a black face. So Robert said he didn't recognize her, thought it was somebody else's dog. And I mean, he walks around with this black face. I would have taken a sponge and sponged it down and got the white face back, but he's quite happy to have a black-faced white dog for a while. And he enjoyed the drama and the mess. And I just smile because I can't control his behavior. I can't make him do what he promises to do, but I can laugh at who he is and that he makes me happy.
Well, rephrase that. He doesn't make me happy. You choose to perceive it in a way that makes you happy.
Yes.
Because then you take it back into, okay, it's my choice. So, because if he makes me happy, then he can also make me unhappy.
Yes.
There's the rub. He does something, oh, that makes me so happy. Oh, but then he does something and I'm not happy. So now I'm caught up in the duality. But if I choose to be happy, then I choose to perceive him in a way that makes me happy. Okay. And I can always choose that, whether he's doing things that he said he would do or he's not doing what he said he would do at all. It doesn't matter.
Because I'm safe in my being, and I make myself happy, or I am. The meditation, definitely the regular meditation today put me in a happy place.
Yeah. Well, happiness comes from my source. It comes from within, this deep connection with my source. It's not related to the external world at all.
Yes. Fantastic.
So that internal source, which is eternal source, cannot be changed, cannot be degraded, undermined, destroyed in any way, shape, or form by anything anyone does. Anything that happens in this world, cannot actually affect that at all. It's completely changeless. So there you have a reliable source of happiness that will never let you down, provided you can stay connected to it.
Yeah.
That's the only caveat. Okay, well, if you want to deny it and you want to disconnect yourself from that and you want to seek happiness outside of you, then no, it's not going to make you happy because you denied it's there. So it's about reconnecting with that over and over again, saying, no, I'm okay as I am right now. I'm okay. I share love's will for happiness for me. Nothing can change that. It doesn't matter what Steve does or what anyone does. Then I find the eternal source of happiness, which is what everyone's looking for, but they're looking in the wrong place. You'll never find it outside of yourself.
I really think I'm getting this.
Yeah, because it's so simple. How in the end how can you not get such a simple lesson? It's a very simple idea, isn't it? Yeah, okay, the external world is never going to bring me a lasting, permanent happiness. Surely by this age, you've learned that. Because it's so changeable, you can't rely on it.
Yeah.
So the only
Well,
option is, okay, well, that's the way the world is. I can't change that, but I can change the way I think and the way I perceive, and that I can change. So now I can stay rooted in my true self, in this deeper being, no matter what. And the only skill you need to learn to do that is this art of letting go. That's what you have to learn. Because if I can let go of any of the blocks that come up as a result of the triggers that the world gives me, then I've got the way to return my mind to this deep connected state, always. See, so the one thing you've got to learn to do is to let go. That's the only requirement to have a happy life. Which is a great relief. There's only one thing. Okay, that's simple. I can do that one thing. It's the hardest thing you'll ever learn to let go, because it goes completely against your conditioned mind and your programming, what the world teaches. But it can be learned.
And it can be learned by me saying, how does it make me feel? Am I feeling calm and peaceful at home? If it doesn't feel that, then I can make the choice to let it go.
Yeah, exactly.
And reclaim
if it's not comfortable, if there's that discomfort, that uncomfortable feeling arising, then okay, don't stuff it down and go, oh, well, I'll distract myself, or no. Okay, you acknowledge it temporarily. All right, so that's an uncomfortable feeling. What does that feel like? You allow it to come in. And then once you've acknowledged it and you've experienced it briefly, you make the choice to say, well, I either hold on to this and I stay in this, or amplify it, make it worse, or I let it go. Those are my choices. So let me let that feeling go right now, and then you use a breath break, a course lesson. If it's something more deeper, you might need to do a process. But there's these tools that help us to let it go, to make that choice, and actually implement it to let it go, so that you find again that place of rest. Okay, well then I've cleared it out. Now I'm at rest again. And then something else arises. Okay, well I let it go again. And that's all you have to do. That's the key to life. Just keep doing that.
And it'll
It's
continue.
always the right thing to do, right? It's always the right thing to let go of whatever is arising that isn't serving you. It's unpleasant. It's always the right thing to do. That doesn't mean you don't take action. No, you may well be inspired to take action once you've let it go. But don't try and take the action before you've let it go, because then the action is going to be distorted action. It's going to be dysfunctional because you're not in your right mind. So whatever you think and you speak and you say and you do is going to be tainted by that energy that you're holding inside of you.
Yeah. Okay. So I must let it go first.
First, always.
Then deal with whatever.
Then deal, yes. Let it
So
go first.
The Holy Spirit is.
So think of the airline example. before you start dealing with okay, I've got to make sure everyone's got their oxygen and strapped in. And before you start doing that, do the one thing. Okay, put oxygen over your own mouth so you can breathe. That's the same as letting go. So, okay, I can let go, I can relax, I can breathe again. The truth. I'm breathing in the truth. I'm connected to my source. Oh, thank God, I'm okay now. I'm safe. You see, I'm safe. I'm okay. All right. So now let's look around with awareness. We ask for guidance. What can I do to be helpful in the situation? But I'm in the right state of mind. First, the ego is going to try and get you to panic and go, no, just forget yourself. Go rushing around, try and fix it externally, and you get yourself in a muddle, and it's all dysfunctional and discombobulated, and whatever you do in that state is not going to be effective, and it just makes the panic worse. As you experienced the other day, you mentioned that situation at the restaurant. You were trying to fix it on the level of form. So we're going, okay, just pause, breathe, take a few moments, center myself, stop looking for the keys, just sit quietly, and the answer would have come to you. You're going, oh, okay, actually, I walked here, so it's actually fine.
It's the slowing down process.
Slowing
too.
down, okay.
Mhm.
You got to learn your default response to any stress should be, okay, let me let this go, let me relax. I need to relax here. That's my priority. Get into a state of mind where I'm peaceful, I'm calm, I'm relaxed. Base, priority. If I'm not, if I'm can't do that, then let me find a way to do that. I'll spend whatever time it takes to get myself into that state before I take action. So now you're taking primary responsibility, which is for managing your mental and emotional state. That's all you can do. And then secondarily, okay, the actions, the words, that will come from my state of mind because it flows from the internal. That's why it's important to understand how reality works. And we go into this in the integral model and stuff. Well, what is primary? What is secondary? Philosophically, we're saying what's primary is this domain, the interior, individual self, the sense of self, your thoughts, your emotions, your memories, your states of mind, perceptions, and immediate sensations. That is primary reality. That's the most important thing to change. And then secondary reality is the material body, anything you can see or touch, observed outcomes, behavior, that's all secondary to what's primary. When you let go of this and you don't honor this and you go within and you correct your mind, you are making a fundamental choice about your reality. Do you see that in who you are? You're choosing to identify yourself with this, the inner self, the timeless self that is not affected by this. And that's why when you forgive or let go, you're teaching yourself who you are in that moment, in that process. See? And that's the only way you're going to learn who you are, because you've forgotten who you are. So how do you remember who you are? Well, you let go of your attachment to the externals that are seemingly now influencing your thoughts and your emotions and your state of mind. And then you restore your mind to the primary state that it was in before any illusions were invented. So none of the external world actually existed. And it still doesn't really exist. It's just a hallucination. It's an illusion. You're restoring your mind back to its original state of mind before illusions were there. And so it takes you home. And that's why this is the only way you're ever going to get home. You have to let go of your attachment, psychological, emotional attachments to whatever is occurring in the external world, seemingly. Because otherwise they are going to affect you continuously. They're going to sabotage your happiness, and you're going to cover over your true awareness, your pure formless awareness. That's never going to be revealed because you've got this dense covering of all these false thoughts and emotions that are triggered by the external world, which is exactly why we invented the external world, to do exactly that, to cover over, to give us every justification for the crazy thoughts and emotions that are going to cover over our true awareness. You see, that was the whole point. That's why we did what we did. And when you have that understanding, you've absolutely got the key understanding to undo the ego. There's nothing more you require. You understand the theory, you understand, yes, if you accept this teaching, you accept, then there's only one way out, and that's to let go of my mental and emotional attachments to this world. There's no other way. Okay, well, let me get busy with that then. Let me just do that. And that becomes your spiritual path and your practice. And that's all you have to do, as Michael Singer pointed out. That's all you have to do. There's nothing else you have to do on the spiritual path. Just that. Nothing else. So one thing, one essential skill, master the art of letting go. That's all. And that's what we're doing day by day. So then the clarity, the simplicity of it is like, oh, finally, I have the way out. It's very clear. It's very simple. It may not be easy. I've got to keep doing this, but I have the way. I'm not searching for the way out anymore. I know the way. I've just got to apply it systematically and progressively. And it's a done deal then. If I keep letting go, I will get out. I will attain that enlightened state that has seemed maybe for all your life to be unattainable. Okay, so anything else on number 3?
No, that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, so Elaine, if you want to do number 4.
Begin your practice periods today with this acceptance of good. Is that correct? Yeah.
Perfect
Acceptance. Oh, I see. Yes. Right. Yeah. I begin my practice periods today with this acceptance of perfect love's will for me. I share perfect love's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now.
And so this is your only function. Isn't that a revelation? He's saying your only function in this world is to be happy. For most people, that is an absolutely radical, mind-blowing thought. Because we have all kinds of other functions we've given ourselves. You know, my function is to be a good mother, wife, partner, son, daughter, employee, business owner, whatever. All these functions, the roles, the functions the world has given us, we identify with those. And we forget that our only function here is to be happy. And in order to accept that, we have to accept it. In order to it's not going to happen unless we say, yes, okay, I accept that is my only function, to be happy now as I am, and to extend that happiness. Naturally, if I'm happy, I naturally extend it in my thoughts, my words, and my actions to others. And then the other roles continue. It doesn't mean those stop. But you infuse all of those roles with your happiness, because that's primary. Happiness is primary, and those roles were secondary. Those roles exist in the external. Those are all part of the exterior, which is illusion. So they can't be primary. What's primary is within you. That's your happiness. Now take that happiness and extend it into the secondary and infuse the secondary with the primary. And then you're living an inspired life, and you're living in the real world, and you're living the happy dream. So it's inside out rather than outside in. The world tells you you've got to live outside in. You've got to manipulate and change and control the world to make you happy. This says, no, find your happiness as you are right here, right now, and then infuse the world. Through your thoughts and your perceptions, infuse it with your happiness. And you become then the source of the happiness on the world. I am the light of the world. I bring the happiness into the world. Through my choice to be happy. Through my choice to share love's will for my happiness, for me. And he's saying, okay, I'm going to carry on. Then I seek this function deep within my mind.
Then I seek this function deep within my mind, for it is there, awaiting only my choice. I cannot fail to find it when I learn it is my choice and that I share perfect love's will.
Yeah. So saying it's a done deal. If you choose it, because it's there, it must be there. It will reveal itself because you chose. As Abraham Lincoln, I mean, this is a more, slightly more formal, in-depth version of the quote for today. Most folks are about as happy as they make up their minds to be. That was the quote. Well, in simple terms, that's the truth. You change your mind. You decide you want to be happy. If you decide not to be happy, then how can you expect to be happy? It's self-evident you can't, because your decision was something other than happiness. It just doesn't seem to be that way. It doesn't seem that you're deciding to be unhappy when someone does something that makes you unhappy, seemingly makes you unhappy. So, oh no, they made me unhappy. No, you chose to perceive it in a way that made you unhappy. That's the truth. And that simple idea, that simple insight is really the key to all personal and spiritual growth. In the end, personal and spiritual growth are the same. They take you in the same direction, to the understanding of who you really are. Know thyself. That's spiritual, and it's also the highest level of transpersonal. You go beyond the sense of a personal self to the great I am presence. And they merge into one. Okay. So just number 5. Christine, if you read that, very appropriate for you because you did the hourly 5-minute rests. Christine, are you still there? No. Okay.
Sorry, I was reading it. And then I realized I was mute.
Yeah.
I am happy, for my only function here is happiness. I have no need to be less loving to perfect love's extension than the source whose love extends them as loving as itself. Besides these 45-minute rests, these hourly 5-minute rests, I pause frequently today to tell myself that I have now accepted happiness as my one function. And I'm sure that I am joining with pure formless awareness of perfect love in doing this.
Now accepted happiness as my one function. That's mind-blowing for most people. That's a complete revolution in the way they live their life. That's all you're here to do. To be happy in the moment and live your life that way. So whatever you're doing, whatever roles you're playing, your happiness is driving it. You are the happy self who's doing it. Rather than trying to manipulate the world to make you happy.
Yes, because if it's coming from me, I affect others with this happiness. I infect others with this happiness.
Yeah, exactly. You
and
spread
they
it.
are happy for no reason.
Yeah.
So, number 2, I have no need to be less loving to perfect love's extension than the source whose love extends them as loving as itself. So as I see them blossoming and bubbling and being happy, I realize that it's just simply a magnetic attraction thing. We're all connected. And so if I take responsibility for my happiness, it could uplift others. And that was part of my purpose, was uplifting people and doing energetic healing. And it can't be seen, it's energetic.
Yeah.
So you
But you can
can't
see
take
it in their reactions. You can see it through
yes.
people's body language, through their words, their smiles. And this is our only function, is to be the light of the world. To
And you
be
can't
happy
take
itself.
Sorry, let me just finish. And you can't take any credit for it. Like I did this, I did the healing, because it's the extension. It's
the source doing it through
it's
you.
perfect
Now it
love.
becomes by me. Now it becomes through me, not by me.
Yes.
Through me. Happening through me. I'm just a channel through which it's happening. And eventually, if you keep doing that, you realize it is you. It's not just happening through you. It is you. You are it. It is you. And there is no difference between you and the source. It's all there is. It's what you are. And that's the final stage of enlightenment. Okay, I am that I am. I am that self that simply is. And it's happy for no reason. There's no there's no logical reason for it. It just is. You see. So then it's not reliant on anything in the world. It just is. Happiness is, love is, truth is, joy is, peace is. These are all statements of truth. They are aspects, they are fundamental qualities of beingness, of the source. When you are identified with the source, then those are the states that you will experience. So it's so simple. It's such a simple lesson. But whoa, how profound. I mean, this is radical, mind-blowing stuff for most people. To go, it's my one function is just to be happy here. Wow. Okay, what if I'd lived my life that way? My only function is to be happy. If I'm not happy now, then my function is to let go of whatever's making me unhappy so that I can be happy. Okay. Now I've got a modus operandi in this world that I can function with, that it's going to work to bring me happiness and other people happiness. And then the ego is going to say, oh, but you can't afford to do that. You can't afford to be happy because you've got all these things to do. You've got stuff to do. You've got places to go. You've got responsibilities, and all that is just a distraction. It's a distraction from your one function. The Holy Spirit says, that's fine. I'll handle all that. But you can handle it much better as a happy self than an unhappy self.
Yeah.
So let me help you become the happy self, and then through your happy self, it will happen through you, and you will deal with all those problems and those situations much more effectively and happily. It's like, well, I don't need to let any of that disturb my happiness. I'm happy no matter what. It's such a simple teaching, but it is the most powerful, profound thing you can do. To accept this and say, okay, I'm going to live my life in this way. This is my only function, is to be happy. And if I'm not happy, then I need to change it. Like that's the canary in the coal mine saying, whoa, okay, there's a feeling of unhappiness arising now. Okay, that's something I need to address. Fortunately, I have a way of addressing it. Okay, so I've got to acknowledge it, and then I've got to let it go. Because that's the only way I'm going to restore my mind to its one function, which is happiness. So I don't try and push it away and shove it down and deny it and distract myself anymore. Like, okay, so it's coming up. That's good. Because it's another block to the awareness of love's presence and my happiness, because the two are the same, that's now revealing itself to be undone. Great. I welcome it. It's an opportunity to be even happier. Once I've got through this block and I've let it go, I can be even happier than I was. But why? Okay, great. So I'm not unhappy about my unhappiness. I'm actually welcoming it. And then you start changing it immediately. See, the perception of it changes. You don't resist it anymore. You're okay, well, great. Just another block that's coming up. Fantastic. Now I can let it go, and I can be even happier on the other side of it. So, my My motivation is like, well, yeah, I want to be happy. I'm not happy now. Well, all I've got to do is let go, and then I can restore my mind to its natural state of happiness, which could be a few seconds or minutes away. Okay, well, let me get busy and then let's just do it. And the more you do it, the easier it gets, the better you become in it. It's like any skill, you practice it until it becomes default. It just happens. Michael Singer was like, well, I don't need to try anymore. There's no technique anymore. I just am in that state. But he's watched his mind like a hawk for 50 years. He's been doing this work since the 1970s. Going, okay, I'm going to observe. When I'm unhappy, I'm going to observe it. And then I'm going to let it go. And he's been doing that systematically and progressively for 50 plus years. You know, so it's no wonder he's happy. It's like, well, now it's become his default state. Just, well, the letting go happens automatically. Something arises, he just lets it go. It passes through, and you know, there's no real disturbance. A guy called Ramakrishna was very enlightened. Was asked, well, do you ever get angry? And he said, yes, actually. But he said, it doesn't last. I watch it. It comes in. It's an energy. It arises. And I watch it and I let it go. And it just moves through. And there's no sticking point for it. It can't stay there. I don't hold on to it. So it arises and it passes away. And, you know, that could happen in a moment, just in an instant. You can get a shock, surge of anger. It arises. You let it pass away and it's gone. And you return your mind to base state. And has anything really happened then? You actually you didn't really leave your base state in truth of happiness. And that's why this is so powerful. You know, it just, something arises, you let it go, it passes through, and nothing sticks. And you become invulnerable because nothing can stick. You know, it's not to say you won't get tempted and things will arise, but it doesn't last. It just passes through very quickly. And the level of your advancement, your progress, the measure of that is how quickly you can let it go. Do you hold on still for minutes, for hours, maybe days, or is it just through it goes, it's gone in a matter of seconds? I think all of the enlightened beings probably just mastered that. Okay, it arises and it passes away and it's very quick. Just, it doesn't stick. And so they return their mind to that base state of happiness very quickly. Virtually no interruption in that state. And that's what we are training to do, so that we can have that level of mastery. That's mastering the art of letting go. And eventually God takes the final step. There's nothing left to let go of. We merge back into our true awareness, and the whole dream disappears. And that will happen when we're ready. That's what he's saying. I can teach you how to remove the blocks to the awareness of love's presence. I can't teach you the meaning of love, because that will come when you're ready. Okay, so any questions, comments on this?
And happiness and love are different.
No, they're the same. No difference.
They're the same.
Yeah.
You'll be ready for happiness, and then it'll just flood your system, but you have to be ready to make that choice.
Yeah, well, you've got to start making the choice, and then you're ready. See, as you make the choice, you start increasing your willingness and your readiness for this. Michael Singer calls it the Shakti, this energy to flow through you, this feeling of love, peace, joy. Just, wow, this is amazing. It's all the same. You know, whether you call it love, you call it happiness. Language can't really describe the feeling. The only thing that's stopping you from experiencing that right now is the blocks that you have in your mind, in your subconscious mostly.
I was reading something today. I was reading something today about arthritic pain. And similarly, it's the body letting you know that there's a negative feeling, there's an emotion or a negative
Hmm.
thought,
Hmm.
showing you that you're attached to something, and it's usually a family situation.
Hmm.
And once you can let that arise and become conscious of it
Hmm.
and let it go, the pain will disappear.
Hmm. Yeah, because all pain is mental, emotional. It's psychological in origin.
Yes.
It's not physical in origin. That comes down again to what you want to believe. The medical industry believes in the scientific materialist paradigm that the external world is real, that the body is more real than your mind. That's the paradigm, but it's incorrect. It's not true. That's why it's so important, that you get the truth correctly in your mind, the metaphysics, is the theoretical understanding, because that underpins everything. If you don't
Yeah.
understand that, then why would you let go? If this is reality, you can't let it go. You've defined it as reality. How can you let go of it if it's what's real, if it's all that you have? Then letting go doesn't make any sense. And it feels very, well, how can I let go of what's real? I can't. It's impossible. The dogma, the belief, stops you from applying the healing, the thing that's actually going to work. So that's why he's working on saying, okay, so let's correct your mind. Let's teach you the truth, that you understand that this is primary and that's secondary. It doesn't really exist, but it seems to for a while. This is primary. We have to teach you that. And then the methodology of letting go, forgiveness, as he calls it, makes sense. Yes, okay, well, that completely, if this is primary reality and this is the illusion, then of course that makes sense. That letting go is then the only way to restore my mind to primary reality. And so the methodology comes from the understanding of the theory. And as I let go, I understand it more and more. I go, wow, this is really working. I can see that this must be the truth because it works, and it works all the time in every situation. Whenever I do it, it works. Okay, well, I can't doubt it anymore because in my experience, I've verified it for myself that this works. So your life is just like the laboratory, the living laboratory for the testing of this hypothesis, of this theory. You test it and then you start seeing that it works, and then eventually it's not a hypothesis, it's not even a belief anymore, it's what you know to be true.
And my practicing this today, this happiness lock, I have had no neck pain today.
Yeah. So then the material world follows suit. The material body is just a projection of your mind. Projection, perception mechanism that creates the reality here. So there's no independent objective reality. Michael Singer said there is, but he's incorrect. There's no independent objective reality. It's not out there. It's in your mind, completely in your mind. You project it on one level, you perceive it on another. It's all happening as a mental projection of yourself. That's what the world is. So it's not independent. It can never be independent and divorced from your thoughts, your emotions, your state of mind. It's absolutely integrally connected. Once you understand that, well, you go, well, the only way then of changing the external world is change myself, logically. If you accept that as true, isn't it? I need to change myself first, and then the world will change. Don't try and do it in reverse order and try and change the world before you've changed yourself, because you're changing the effect and not the cause. That doesn't make any sense. It's no wonder these systems based on the false idea that this is primary reality don't work. They don't work because they're based on what's false. But stubbornly, humanity clings to these dogmas to protect our seeming personal identity as individuals living in the world, rather than accepting the simple truth that and actually that's all false. But you can. It doesn't matter what the world does. The systems will continue. People will continue to be delusional and believe in them, but you don't have to believe in them. You can choose today to say, no, I'm done with that. You know, I choose to be this. I choose to be who I really am. And if I'm not, and I depart from that, and I find the feeling of unhappiness arising, that's telling me that I'm out of alignment, and I'm going back into this world, you know, the ego's material world, which is hellish by comparison. Okay, well, that's okay. I can just correct it. I can go back here anytime I want, because it's always there. It's always available. And the way to get back there is one way. That's to let go. Let go of my mental and emotional attachments to this external world. That's the way back to sanity. Are you?
Yep.
Are you getting it? I think
I think I am.
It's like, wow, this is so simple, so doable. Here we have the answer, right? The very, very simple answer to human life, to all problems, given to us by this great master who's now taught us the truth. And he said, look, here it is. Here's the whole truth. I'm not holding anything back from you. I'm going to give you the theory and the metaphysics, and I'm going to give you the practice to apply it. And if you will just do this diligently and consistently, I can guarantee you that you will get out. Because I know it's worked for me. I got out. I got out the whole system of illusion, and I'm free. And you can be too.
Yes, no, you explain it very nicely, emphatically, Jono, and it's really very helpful. The text is helpful, the lessons are helpful, and even reading Marianne Williamson's book, Return to Love, just also makes it very practical, because she brings up all these practical occurrences in her own life that I can relate to, and it just concretizes the whole thing.
And then you go, but this is a very livable philosophy. In fact, it's the only option, really. I mean, is there any other way that I can live my life functionally once you understand this? No. You go, well, I must let go no matter what. There's no other option, because nothing else makes sense. Nothing else is going to work. So let me just do the one thing that's going to work. And then you focus your mind, you channel your energies in the right direction. And with focused intent, you will go through these levels. You'll raise yourself up from body, mental, whatever identification you're at, and you just go through these levels quite quickly, and you go out. It's like, boom, out you go, out the matrix, out the other side, one life, and you're done. And you transcend. And that's what he's saying is possible. No matter how old you are, you're 74, you can do this in this life. There's no doubt you can. If you're willing, and you're willing to apply this diligently, you can correct your mind to the point where you can. And when you're finally ready to go, that's it, right? The body's not required anymore. There's no personal self left. Game over. You're back in eternal love forever. Never have to come to this crazy place again.
Yeah, and the eternal love is the antidote to the fear. So as soon as fear arises and you take the medicine of the antidote, you cancel it out instantly.
Yeah. So you've let it go then. You've returned your mind to its true state.
Yeah.
All you have to do, just keep doing that. Go back to its true state. Eventually you go, well, that's my state. That's my default state. Nothing's going to move me from that. I know that to be true. And there's no alternative. There's nothing else remaining. And that's when the ego's been undone, and there's really no need for an illusion anymore. The illusion only serves the purpose of a separate self. So the external world, these external quadrants just fade away. They drop away. You don't need to reincarnate into a body and experience a material existence anymore, because there's no need for it. You're rooted in pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's all there is for you, as is shown on this timeline. You remain here. You finish your life. You go here. You rest in here. And there's really there's no psychological and emotional attachment left to the world. There's no separate self left. There's no reason to depart from that. You just stay there forever. eternity. There's no time. Our ego minds can't get our head. It can't conceive of that. So if you struggle to wrap your head around, it's like, what will that be like? It's because you're trying to understand it with the ego mind. It's separated, and so you can't. But experientially, you can start as you start experiencing more and more of this in your life, and you experience deep peace and happiness and joy. You go, well, that feels really good. To be there forever is hardly something I should be avoiding. That's actually what I want. I just want to be in that state forever, without interruption. Nothing can disturb it. I just remain there forever. No time. There's no sense of passing time. I rest in that forever. And that's what's calling all of us. We know that state still is there. We haven't forgotten it completely. And the remembrance of that state is the Holy Spirit that's now guiding us. In our dream, we still have the dream seemingly going on as characters in the dream, but it's saying, remember that state, because that's all you really want. Everything was perfect there. Everything was holy. No pain, no suffering, no sickness, no death. Surely that's a better choice than what you're experiencing here on the timeline. I mean, it's self-evident. What happens here is a disaster by comparison to that. And then so slowly but surely you accept it. As you let go more and more, and you practice this art of letting go, you're accepting it more and more. You're rooting yourself into this awareness more and more, till eventually there's no more choice. The idea of choice has collapsed. This is all there is for you. The idea of another self is ridiculous. You go like, how can there be another self than what I am? Clearly doesn't exist. That's the enlightened state.
Now, the next chapter, 14, is that the chapter that's dealing with relationships?
Well, there's a whole lot of chapters that deal with the relationships. Yeah, it actually starts at 15.
15.
Chapter 15 to about 24. There's 9 chapters that deal with the special relationship and how to transcend it, how to make it a holy relationship. It's woven in there. There's other things that come in, but the focus is on the relationship and using the relationship for what it's for, which is to heal your mind and your partner's mind. That's what every relationship's for. So you use it as a practice. It's great practice, because there's nothing that triggers you quite like relationships, is there?
Don't tell me about it.
Yeah,
miracles
that's the truth.
will have to happen.
Like, because other things are like, well, okay, maybe money might be something else that people struggle with, but money doesn't speak to you. It's not like something that's gonna tell you something you don't like, So as people, they say things and they do things all the time that violate your expectations all the time.
Yeah.
And particularly when you're close, you're spending a lot of time, and there's an emotional, psychological attachment to that special person in your life. Then the ego's got a great playground to really work in your mind and seemingly justify these negative thoughts and emotions. Oh no, he or she did that or this, therefore, I'm unhappy, and it all seems to be justified because they're the special person, and the special person should treat me specially, and how dare they treat me like that, and how dare they say that, and all of it's just designed to perpetuate a separate self. So the special relationship, Yeshua says, is the ego's answer to the Holy Spirit. Invented special relationships as its biggest defense of this dream, because it seems, it's very cunning. It seems to be love, doesn't it? It seems to offer you what you're looking for, which is love. That's the illusion, but it doesn't, because it sucks you into to attachment, really, an emotional, psychological attachment to that person, and then the game starts. And it's like, oh, okay, so now all kinds of other emotions are going to come in that are certainly not love: guilt and fear and sin and attack thoughts and manipulation and control and all that stuff that characterizes so many relationships, comes in, and that's not love at all. There's nothing unconditional about that at all. So it's a big area of our learning. We've got to let go of our special attachments. That doesn't mean you relinquish those relationships. You just change them. You change your mind about them, and you allow the Holy Spirit to guide them instead. That's the holy relationship. Now, the holy relationship is, well, we just like to hang out. Why would you bother having a relationship? Because I like to hang out with someone in this state. It feels good to hang out in a state of love. We spend time together. We swim in this ocean of love together. It feels good. So why not?
Yes.
I don't need anything from them. I don't want anything from them. I can swim in the ocean of love myself. That feels pretty good too. If I'm on my own and swimming, that's okay. But if I'm swimming in tandem with someone and we share their experience, well,
Great.
that feels good too. Maybe that feels even better. So then I'm not seeking some kind of salvation in the relationship. I already have it, and it's just nice to share it. Very different, again, very different mindset. I'm not seeking, you don't need to do anything. I am what I am, and let's share it together. And then, of course, the ego go, okay, no, that can't happen. So it's going to do everything it possibly can to block that. And then the game starts. It's like, okay, so it's going to try everything it possibly can to say that's not the case and to trigger you. And then, okay, well, that's your practice then. Okay, I've got to let go of the triggers. Let go of those blocks as they arise. And one of the, probably the best way you can do that is through a special relationship that's being transformed through this process into a holy one. So it becomes a primary way of undoing the ego. That's what it's for. So, so the partner's not there to make you happy. They're there to challenge you, to help you let go of your blocks to happiness so that you can be happy irrespective, whether they're there or not. That's what they're there to do.
Yeah. Still challenging.
Yeah, of course, because it challenges your ego, and there's nothing quite like a special relationship to get your ego riled up and all justified in its thoughts and emotions. But when you understand the bigger picture, you go, okay, well, I can't fall for that anymore. I know what it's about. So one answer, I have to let go. If I got triggered, I need to let go and find my way back to this, and bring the other person with me. If they've gone insane as well, I can show them that actually this is what's there. It's still true. It's always there, and so now I can bring them with me back to sanity. Okay, so good lesson. Shall we do a meditation on it?
Yes. So
Okay. So have a look at the stop that. I'm going to a new file. All right, so just making yourself comfortable. And put yourself on mute. Get into a nice meditation posture. Take a nice deep breath in through the nose. Breathing into the lower stomach. Clench your sphincter muscle to lock the energy in. Draw the energy up the spine into your heart center. Put one hand on your heart. Connect with your heart space. Draw it up into the crown of your head. Pausing at the top of the inhale. smile. And so just scan your mind for any unhappy thoughts. Could be a fearful thought, an angry thought, just a minor irritation, frustration, ranging to intense anger and rage, sadness, depression, just a heaviness, whatever it is, just notice it, breathe into it. And what you're inviting in with the breath is some spacious awareness. Breathe into that spacious awareness. Breathe in the light of your true awareness. If you like to visualize, you could visualize a golden white light flowing in to every part of your body, every cell in your body, every part of your mind. Every fiber of your being is in this light. This is the light of your true awareness. And you remind yourself that I share God's will. I share perfect love's will for happiness for me. And I accept it as my function now. So say that out loud to yourself. I share perfect love's will for happiness for me. And I accept it as my function now. And exhale on the truth of that. And as you exhale, it's going to blow away any of these dark thoughts that seem to deny this happiness. Blow them away with the breeze of your breath. As when they're like dark clouds just leaving, going, gone. Pull the lower stomach into the spine, expel the last remaining air out. And you just rest here in this deep peace and stillness. Let the happiness arise in you. Seek this function of happiness deep within your mind, for it is there waiting only your choice. Say, I cannot fail to find it when I learn it is my choice and that I share perfect love's will. Be happy, says Yeshua. So claim it. Say, I'm happy. You breathe in the happiness to every pore, every cell, every muscle of your body, every part of your mind, every fiber of your being. So I am happy. For my only function here is happiness. There is no other function. All the roles, seeming functions of this world the ego's invented are just distractions to try and distract you from the simple truth that your only function here is happiness. Say, I have no need to be less loving to perfect love's extension. And the source whose love extends them as loving as itself. And feel this loving awareness coming into your mind, into your heart. You rest in this loving awareness. There's nowhere else to go and there's nothing else to do. And there's nothing else to think about. You just stay in it. Sit quietly and let happiness alight upon you like a butterfly. There's nothing you need to seek, nothing you need to do to attain this state. It is your natural state. It's always there. It's given to you. Just remove all the blocks to its awareness and you will experience it. Sinking inwards, seek the function, says Yeshua, deep within your mind of happiness. Allow yourself to experience pure happiness that is the same as pure love, that is the same as pure formless awareness. It's all the same, just different words pointing to the same state of mind that is really beyond words. Words cannot describe that state adequately, can merely point to it, and eventually we must go beyond words into experience. Just experience the state directly. And drop into that state. Breathing in and out through your nose. Observe the breath flowing into the nostrils and then out of the nostrils. Stomach rises and the chest rises, and then the process reverses. Air flows out of the nostrils. Notice the subtle sensations in your nose, the chest and the stomach suck back in. And by staying rooted in that breath awareness, staying aware of the breath, keep your mind quiet. Thinking mind is quiet and calm, empty, open, and aware. So just stay in this awareness, pure formless awareness, perfect love, we call it, which will make you happy. The two are actually the same. Just different words for the same state of mind. Say, I share perfect love's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now, not sometime in the future or the past. So nostalgia, happiness, happy times in the past isn't necessary when you can be happy now. Neither is imagined happiness sometime in the future because of something that needs to happen required anymore. You can be happy exactly as you are right now. And this way you let go of the illusion of time and you just experience your happiness right now. So nowhere else to go, and nothing else to do, and nothing else to think about. Just breathe, relax, and be still and surrender completely, wholly, fully into this happiness. This happy feeling, let it consume you, overwhelm you, surrender to it completely for the next couple of minutes of deep silence. So just coming back from this deep state of happiness, peace, love, joy, it's all there. The words you want to use to describe it. And it's just an experience. And so on the count of 3 now, you're going to open your eyes. Just breathing in, 1. Noticing how the stomach rises and the chest rises and the subtle flow of air in through the nostrils. Pausing at the top of the inhale, smile. Scan your mind again, notice any thoughts and emotions, any related body sensations going on. If there's anything that feels at all unhappy, it's a resistant feeling, a contracted, limited, negative feeling in any way, anything that's just uncomfortable. Breathe into that. Remind yourself that I share perfect love's will for happiness for me. And I accept it as my function now. And you exhale. So if that is the will that you share and this is your only function, it's impossible to be happy, to be unhappy. Possible. To maintain this state of unhappiness. Blow it out. Let it all go with the breeze of your breath. Imagine you blowing it out like a dark smoke or black cloud out of your mouth. It's leaving your body, leaving your energy system, from the lower stomach into the groin. Just rest here. Count of 2. Rest in the stillness, the gap between breaths. Notice the weight of your body pressing down into the chair and your feet touching the ground. Notice what you're feeling with your hands touching. Maybe there's a subtle taste in your mouth, maybe a smell in your nose. Notice what you're hearing. Just noticing all these things from this. It's very still, calm, and surrendered state of mind. And stay rooted in the state of happiness to help you just top yourself up frequently, ideally every hour, by practicing today's lesson. You can use one of the breath breaks I've sent you, or short instructions in a Telegram or email message. Or just remind yourself in a few seconds, I share love's will, perfect love's will for happiness for me, and I accept it as my function now. And just let that feeling that the words are designed to inspire drop into your heart. Feel it now, breathe in. That feeling into your heart center. Feel it enveloping your whole body. It's an energy of this loving awareness, love's will, which is really love's awareness that envelops you, that infuses you, in which you're swimming. You are in it, it is in you. There is no separation from it. So it is said and so it is done. And now on the count of 3, open your eyes. Let's take a minute to look around, observing various objects in the room around you. Focus on one for a few seconds, any one, just randomly. Notice that your awareness is the same as it was when you had your eyes closed. You can close your eyes briefly. Notice how the feeling that you have, inner awareness, As you open your eyes, notice that awareness is the same. Nothing's really changed. And you can look at anything and you can have that same awareness. So look around, look at any object. Let your eyes just rest randomly on any object for a few seconds. Notice that awareness is still there. Close your eyes if you want to. Open them. Notice that it's the same whether your eyes are closed or open. And do that for half a dozen objects. You see that the same awareness underlies all of them if you don't allow your mind to get sidetracked into thoughts about that object and judging it and naming it and labeling it, splitting your mind again into parts. Just a whole awareness. It's there, underlying every object. That is the principle of unity. That's the one singular awareness that underlies all reality, that is actually reality. And you can stay rooted in that, and that will make you indescribably happy, even while you perceive your body's eyes and senses in this world. That is what we're studying, training your mind to do, is to stay rooted in that awareness, no matter what seems to happen in this world. So that's why the letting go is so important, because letting go of your psychological and emotional attachments to people, things, places, circumstances, objects, and whatever else in this world restores your mind to this awareness. So you can stay rooted in it no matter what, and you can be happy no matter what. And then you're fulfilling your only function here, which is to be in this awareness, one with this awareness, and happy in this awareness, because this awareness is the awareness that makes you happy. In fact, it is happiness. There's no difference between perfect love and perfect happiness. They are just different pointers, different names for the same underlying state of awareness. So that brings us to the end of the meditation and the first part of the session. So, Christine, Elaine, would you like to stay and do some of the text?
I'll need a break because I've got to do the cooking.
Okay, so we could have a little break, or Christine,
Yeah.
do you want to have a break or continue straight on, and then Elaine joins us later?
Yes, I'll see if I can join later.
Okay, so shall we say what, half an hour, or is that too little? An hour?
About 7:30.
Yeah. So 8:30. So that's about 45 minutes our time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that work?
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. So see you
See you in a bit.
8:30, Christine. 7:30 for Elaine.
Yeah.
And we'll dive into the text.
Okay.
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 Thank
See you later. Thank you.
All
Bye.
right. Bye
Bye.
for now. All right. So thanks to everyone who joined, and we'll do another session shortly. Going to go into the text for today. So if you're watching this live, join us at 7:30 UK time, 8:30 South African time for the tonight's text reading, which is called Attainment of the Real World.